You're very welcome. I'm standing outside the doors of St. Paul's, doors that have not been opened for worship now for 16 weeks. We hope to open on Sunday morning, and we very much look forward to welcoming you back if you feel you're able to come back at this time. When you do come to church, it will be a little bit different than what you're used to, and the purpose of this short video this morning is just to show you what to expect when you arrive here on Sunday morning. Can I say to you, please do not come along to church if you feel unwell, if you have symptoms of the virus, or if you're recovering from that virus, or any of your family members are recovering from it. We ask you to stay at home for a little while longer. We are keeping an online presence, and so you'll be able to watch the service live from your home. When you go inside, there will be church wardens and also extra stewards who will show you to your seat, and they will also answer any questions that you may have. The protocols that have been handed to us by the government and by Central Church have been implemented here by the Select Vestry. We want to ensure that you are safe and that we protect each other. Before we go inside, just to say to you that when you arrive on Sunday, there will be hand sanitizers outside the door here, and we ask you, of course, to use those before you enter the building. And there are also 2-meter distance marks on the tarmac. Please give yourself a little bit of extra time to get here. We want to avoid a build-up of people at the church door. So, if you feel it's time for you to come back to church, let me now show you what to expect when you arrive here on Sunday morning. When you enter the church, this is where you'll see several changes from what you would normally expect. There is a one-way system which has been introduced, and when you come in the door, you will be guided to your pew. It's very important that seats are filled from the front, so you will be shown by the stewards to a place when you arrive. There will be no hymn books or prayer books for the time being, and we have had to reintroduce service sheets. And these sheets you will find at the pew where you are seated. The children's zone at the back of the church has also been taken away for the time being, and any activities that used to take place there have been suspended. I'm very sorry about this. Obviously, we always love to see children in church, but if you feel your child will not be able to stay with you in a pew for up to half an hour, I ask you regrettably to stay at home for the time being. When you arrive, you will also find that your name will be ticked off on a list. This is for contact tracing purposes. In the hopefully unlikely event that someone who contracted the virus was in this building at the same time as yourself. This information after the service will be put in an envelope and put in the parish safe, and there it will remain, and nobody will look at it unless we need it, and after a few weeks it will be destroyed. I'm now going to bring you up to the front of the church, and I'll show you the layout as it is now, and also talk a little about the service itself. The pews have been divided out with the 2-meter social distancing in mind, and we're trying to maximise the capacity of the church. As we record this on Friday morning, we're still not too sure what our maximum capacity will be. There is talk it could well change by Sunday, but at the moment it is 50 people. So when you arrive, a steward will show you to your pew. As I said earlier, people from the same household can sit together, and if that's the case and you arrive with 2 or 3 other members of your household, more than likely you will be directed to the pews in the centre of the church. And if you sit between the arrows, you will be away, 2 metres away from the nearest person. If you arrive on your own, more than likely you will be directed to the pews that have these red discs. And if you sit at this red disc, again, you will be 2 metres away from the person nearest to you. And on the other aisle, again, up to 4 people can sit together there if the same household. But you may well be sitting there by yourself, or with someone else if you arrive as a 2 and 3. As I say, it sounds very complicated, but we will have plenty of room for the time being in that sense. And I can have to warn you that you may not be able to sit in the pew, unlikely that you'll be able to sit in the pew that you normally sit in. We've been told to fill the church from the front, so that means when you arrive you will be directed towards the front of the church, and that's nice. It'd be nice to have that sense of togetherness here for the first time in many, many weeks. The service itself, let me tell you a little bit about that. Unfortunately, for the time being, there is no congregational singing. And I know that will be very difficult for some of you. We have put the words of the hymns on the service sheet, just selected verses from 3 hymns. And I ask you to either read those or reflect on them as Caroline plays, or you can sing to yourself. That would be good too. That means there will be no choir for the time being either, and there will be no processions. And at the start of the service, I'll just appear from the vestry and begin the service from the top of the church here. The good news is that the church service will be a little bit shorter than normal. We've been asked to keep it under 30 minutes, and I'm sure there won't be too many people disappointed at that. At the end of the service, you will be directed by the stewards to your nearest exit. The church will be emptied from the back for the people here, and I'll talk a little bit about the people who are at the front later on. When you get to the exit, there will be no collection during the service itself. So if you have a physical offertory on Sunday in the form of envelopes or cash, we ask you to put it in the basket when you reach this table. And believe it or not, this will then go into quarantine. It won't be counted on the day, it'll be counted next week. After that, then, if you do not wish to bring your service sheet home, we ask you to put that in the bin that is provided. And make sure, please, that you take everything with you as you leave. We want you to leave everything, actually take everything home with you as you leave the building. When you go outside the door, there will be hand sanitizer, and we ask you to use that again. Please try not to have any congestion at the doors, and if you are chatting after the service outside, please remember to keep that 2-metre distance from each other. And I also ask you, when you go home, that you wash your hands thoroughly. All this is repeated at what is the choir door, and the people who are at the front of the church will be directed by the stewards in that particular direction, so that we can all leave the building as quickly and as safely as possible. We're up in the gallery. The gallery will not be available for the time being. The reason we're up here, I just wanted to show you our new live streaming camera. This is a new way of reaching out here in St. Paul's, and it means that if you cannot physically be here on a Sunday morning, you'll be able to watch the service live at 10:30 from your home. We'll also be able to reach those who, due to ill health or infirmity, cannot physically come to church any longer. And I think this is an amazing development. We've talked about it for a long time, and it's taken a virus really to get us to put this in place. We'll send out the details of how you can access this before this coming Sunday. We're really looking forward to you coming back to church on Sunday, and if you feel it's time and you feel safe and secure enough to come along, I hope you find it a very pleasant experience. It'll be actually nice to see each other again, even if it is from a little bit of a distance. Until then, I wish you every blessing.